Okay, so a few things to cover today. I thought everything was fine on the new CO2 laser. All I've really done is cut out some Christmas bits out of 3mm ply, and my settings were higher than was recommended by the Red Dragon. Oops, can't see that properly with the light. The power calculator. I think I was cutting it, actually it's in my book somewhere if I can find the book. No, it's under that lot, so I'm not going to attempt that one-handed. But I had to use a higher power and slower speed to cut cleanly through this 3mm ply. I didn't really think anything of it at the time, but then after we purchased the fibre laser, we wanted to print out these jigs, and the recommended settings couldn't, well, they barely cut through 1mm of this. To cut through this I ended up really slow and about 70% power. We have attempted to, well, I spent 2 days cleaning and realigning all of the mirrors, had the lens out, we've checked the focus, distance, we've gone through absolutely everything. The air assist is working really well, so we definitely have a power issue. I've tried to look at the controller settings, but everything appears fine in there. We can get a pulse. Actually, I'll turn this on in a second and we'll just go through a few bits. I wondered if it was the software that we're using, Lightburn, whether that is somehow interacting with the maximum power, but it doesn't appear to be. Anyway, so I've emailed Red Dragon. I don't suppose they are there until the new year, but clearly there is something wrong somewhere. Whilst I had the machine out to service at the back, I thought I might as well do the final modification that was required. And actually it's not the final modification, as we'll cover in a minute, but I have just moved the main on-off switch from the back, which has to be the most ridiculous place to put an on-off switch on a machine like this. I was forever reaching around the back, just stupid. So I've cut a hole here, and we've got the main switch where it's actually useful, right at the front here. So that is much better. One of the problems with these CO2 machines is all of these CO2 tubes have certain milliamp ratings, and if you drive it more than a certain current consumption, you'll be lessening the life of the tube, and of course it doesn't have one fitted. So the next stage of diagnosing an issue was to buy a meter, and this has come from Amazon, and I'll put all the links in the video description. So we have a DC milliamp meter. The only one I could find readily available was the 0 to 30. I suspect this machine will never want to go above 20 ideally, and I expect generally it's going to be down in the 10-12 milliamp region. This one needs to be wired into the wire that is the cold end of the tube, and we'll probably cover that in another video, just how to connect that. So we've got that ready to go. Now anyone with one of these machines knows that it's got this bloody great big yellow label, and it's on the top. It's on the top here, and it was beginning to annoy me, so I peeled it off whilst I was trying to work out where and how to mount this, whether I'm just going to drill out the hole for this, and where could it go. It's on the front, yeah, maybe, but on the top really would be quite nice. And when I took the label off, guess what? There is a cutout that is just held in place with these 4 little tabs. Now that's clearly for a rectangular panel meter of some description. Now unfortunately for me, the meter I've got is not wide enough to fill that. Deep enough, yes, I think that would be no problem, but it's not wide enough. So what I decided to do, I've found a mount with an angled side, so this will go in there, and I'm going to mount it up here, and it will basically be better at an angle on the machine there. Now I could punch that out for the wiring to go through. I suspect though it might just be easier to drill a hole through there, rubber grommet, and just make the connections to the cold end of the tube where the wiring in there going back to the power supply. And then we might have more of a clue as to what is going on with this dreadful cutting performance on this machine, to see whether there is a problem with the tube. As we know, this one got really banged up somewhere along the lines. If I can look underneath there, so you see this, it's a great big gouge out of the front. It runs all the way across and out the back. So you know, at some point you can see it, this has had a really good bang, enough to damage all of this. It's actually taken the coating off and it's damaged the metal underneath, so that really has had some sort of knock in transit. And I don't believe they would have let this go out of the factory in that condition. They would have attempted, I would have thought, to patch that up and maybe just spray that over. So it's happened probably when this has been fully assembled. I don't know what sort of damage that can do, but yeah, I wasn't overly impressed with it when it turned up like that. But as long as it hasn't damaged anything else other than cosmetically, I let it go. Perhaps I shouldn't have done. Certainly didn't get any sort of apology from Red Dragon on this when I pointed it out. In fact, since I emailed them all of my recommendations about the safety of the earth points and all the other things, I haven't even had a reply from the boss there. I got an email response from Jess who said she'd pass it on, but you would have thought a phone call would have been nice, especially as I've had to replace the water pump myself at a cost of 70 quid because their one wasn't powerful enough to trigger the switch. So I'm beginning to be a little bit annoyed, frankly, of the stuff I've had to do on this. You know, I don't mind. I quite like tinkering with stuff and improving things. I've done that extensively with this particular 3D printer, but it's beginning to rankle a bit now, especially as it's not working properly. So there are some, you know, such stupid little things that should have been done on this to make it safer and better from the factory. You know, like fitting rubber grommets where wires go through really sharp holes in the metal casing. I've done that myself. Things like the switches in the wrong place. You know. Anyway, if we can get it cutting, that's the main thing. So with that in mind, we've got the milliamp meter. Just wanted to show you these things that I've got from Amazon. These are...
I missed something.
You certainly
did.
did.
Can you say it again?
No. So these are butt connections for joining wires together. They are heat shrink material and some solder right in the middle. So you literally butt connect the wires through there. I mean, you could probably twist them together first and then feed this on first, twist the wires together and then slide it along, and then with a heat gun you can heat shrink that and melt the solder. There are various sizes there, so that is all good. I haven't used that, I do my own, but I might try these out. I normally solder the wires together and then use multiple heat shrink tubes over the top. This also came from Amazon. I am going to need these connections to go onto the back of the meter, and this was probably the best way of covering a whole range of sizes. Again, you can crimp these or you can crimp and solder. I tend to prefer crimping and soldering wires. And then again we have this selection of heat shrink tubing from Amazon, from this very tiny size here all the way up to these big chunky ones. Again, I will cover the wires generally and then put another and another over the top, especially if it's mains wiring that we're dealing with. All the sizes nicely shown on there. Same with this one, obviously nothing to show on there. So that's it really, that's where we were. I've been kind of messing with the fibre laser more, and somebody posted these jigs on the M1 M3 Facebook group, and that's when the apparent problem appeared with the Red Dragon, the RDL4040. So yeah, that is a 3-hour print. I'm almost out of filament there, so I don't know, I hope it's going to complete it, but it's going to be touch and go. I've got another box over there all ready to go in, but I hope it doesn't run out, but yeah, we'll see. So yes, next thing for me will be to fit this, and I'll just film that once the print has finished successfully. Hopefully, might be able to do it today, more likely over the weekend when things are a little bit quieter. So yeah, happy with all the modifications. This will definitely be the final one because everything is done now. I am trying to install RD Works onto the laptop and get a USB connection, just in case there's any possibility that it is Lightburn that is causing the problem. I can't see it, but if we try RD Works as supplied with the machine, then nobody can complain and say, well, you're not using our recommended software to drive it. So we'll see, we'll get that installed and connected hopefully today. So yeah, more later on. Okay, so we're back again. I've managed to install RD Works. This looks like it's version 8.01.54 and then a whole load of numbers after that. Got it on the USB connection just for the hell of it really, just to make sure all that works. So yeah, I've just drawn a line. I've done a few trial circles and that's not having it. So I've had to up the speed to 55, minimum 10, speed just 10, and we're going to run a start with the laser off. And I don't see a preview, or a frame option. I'm sure it's there somewhere, but I haven't used this before. So yeah, we're just going to hit the start. Got the laser off, so I'm just going to cut a line on that and let it go off the end so I can see how far that's cutting through. And yeah, let's just fire this up. I've got the goggles on, I've just defeated the safety, and we're going to hit start again. So let's grab that out. As you can probably see, that'll focus. Come on. That's gone, what, halfway through at 55% power. Well, as it's supposed to cut straight the way through at 30 and 19, we have definitely got an issue. So I think we've ruled out a software problem because we've used RD Works and Lightburn. You can see the speed and power there. I had the max min on 5% because that only seems to affect the laser pulse when you're using the pulse button. It's got nothing to do with the actual settings. They override the controller's pulse, max and min settings. So I literally have no bloody clue now, apart from duff tube or the laser power supply. So I think we're going to have to get this milliamp meter fitted. That's still printing away with probably a couple of hours left, so hopefully we won't run out of filament. Hardly any left. I think that'll be the next stage, just to see what the readings there are.